So thank you for joining this next session of the PhD Unlimited workshop series at the Davis Humanities Institute. My name is Stephanie Maroney, and I'm the program manager for the Mellon Public Scholars program at the DHI. And I also facilitate this workshop series, which is intended to give a really broad approach to professional development for humanities, arts, and humanistic social science graduate students here at UC Davis. So if you look back through some of our offerings, we take the approach to career preparation or professional development as something that is not just about continuing a life within academia, but looking very broadly at what kind of a meaningful life you want to make for yourself with your PhD in hand. And so we've offered workshops on, how do you tell employers about this experience of being in a PhD, or how do you think about a public audience for the work that you do? And in this case, we are really lucky to have Teresa Dillinger with us because she's going to lead us through a really wonderful tool that has been developed specifically for humanities and arts PhD students to ask this very question of like, where do I start on a career search? How do I even explore the possibilities of what life looks like beyond the PhD in terms of my career options? So Teresa Dillinger is passionate about helping grad students and postdoctoral scholars achieve success both at UC Davis and in their chosen career paths. She's the director of the GradPathways Institute for Professional Development, co-director of the Professors for the Future program, which might be a program you all are familiar with, or you should be, and serves on the management team for the Leaders for the Future program, another program I think she'll tell us a little bit more about. Dr. Dillinger is also the nationwide project lead for ImaginePhD, an online career exploration and planning platform for humanities and social science PhDs, which is the subject of today's workshop. Teresa has over 18 years of experience in career and professional development programming and advising, and she's completed both her master's and PhD's degrees in geography at UC Davis before embarking upon a career in academic administration. So I'm really excited to welcome Teresa, and just for everyone in the room to stay tuned for future events in the PhD Unlimited series. I'll send a follow-up email to you all with some details for our March 30th workshop, which is on grant writing. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to Teresa, who will be facilitating the workshop, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. If anyone has questions, feel free to post them there. Welcome.
Great. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for that nice introduction. And it's really a pleasure to be here with all of you today and to talk about some things that I'm passionate about and that I hope will be helpful for you. Stephanie mentioned that I'm the project lead on ImaginePhD. And the first thing I want to tell you is ImaginePhD is a free tool and I'm not paid to do that. So I am, this is not like a class where a faculty member might be making you buy their textbook. Not at all. It's free. You can use it or not use it. But what I want to do today is I'm going to talk about ImaginePhD. I'm also going to talk about the GradPathways Institute because we have a number of resources for you and campus partners, and the Versatile PhD, which we have a premium subscription to. So I just want to make you aware of those resources. Before I do that, it would be great to know who's in the room in the sense of, I see your names and many of them look familiar, but why don't you drop into chat, which I'm watching now too, along with Stephanie. Tell me if you are on the job market, if you are like early in your graduate program. So sort of where you're at. Where are you just starting to think about it, fully engaged, writing applications? Let's hear from you. Starting to think about it, on the job market, okay. Midway, starting to think about it, on the job market to apply for summer and fall, coming up, sooner than we expect. Graduated in 2020, working as a part-time lecturer, but looking to explore further options on the market for fall. And just starting to think about it, Great, did everybody get a chance to weigh in? Oh, here we go, second year student, still a long way, but want to learn more. That's great. I think it's really smart to get started early, but wherever you're at in this process, I think we have some resources for you. And as Stephanie mentioned, chime in. If you have a question, you can unmute and ask it. You can drop it into chat. I really want the session to be for you. to meet whatever your needs are. And so if you're just starting, that's terrific, because it's great to be thinking about this all along the way. One of the things that those who are on the market, I think, could tell you about right now is it's really challenging to be writing up and applying for jobs at the same time, and TAing perhaps. So you just, and in this virtual environment, it probably feels even more overwhelming, and probably a little isolating. So again, I'm hoping to give you some resources that'll help. And the first thing I want to talk about, make sure I get my arrows to advance my slides here correct, is career diversity. Has anyone heard this term? Drop a yes or no in chat. Ever heard this term, career diversity? No? Okay. It's looking like the no's have it. We have a kinda, we have a no. Okay, so most people are saying no. That's fine. This idea is that when you get your doctorate or your master's, there are a broad array of careers that you are eligible for, but many folks coming particularly into a research intensive institution only ever hear about research one, faculty type positions. And when we talk about career diversity, what we want to say is that we really value all career paths. And I can say that as someone who got my PhD in geography and went into a non-faculty career. Although interestingly, I'm in the academic federation as a type of faculty member, but not truly in a faculty career. So it's valuing all careers. It's acknowledging the tremendous skill set that the PhD or the master's gives you. It's mobilizing our resources as a university to support your career choices and your career journey. It's connecting you with employment in all sectors and communicating the value of the advanced degree beyond just academia to let employers also know and society know how important this is. And I think we are well aware of that in the political climate we've had over the years, that knowledge is important, and that your strengths and your abilities to tell your stories, to think critically and help other institutions like government, industry, nonprofit to be successful is really part of the package and very important. So that's what we mean by career diversity and being supportive of that. And the tools I'm going to show you are very much supportive of that. So to get started, let's see, my arrows are not working now. Try again. Oh, here we go. Okay, one of the things I want to talk about is the career search during a pandemic. So for those of you who are on the market, you have my heartfelt sympathy, because I know it must feel so disorienting and troubling to be on the market at this particular time. But I do want to assure you that people have gone before you in this sense. So back in 2009, when we had the Great Recession, the jobs dried up very quickly. It was like a plummeting of the job market for academia, and it was terrifying for people. And we got through that, and with remarkably little change. There are things that are changing in the market, but I often hear, particularly in humanities, there's a lot of doom and gloom. And if you read the Chronicle of Higher Education, as much as I love the Chronicle, it can be very dispiriting, because it sounds like the world is falling apart, and everything's being programs are being closed and whatnot. But I'll say to you, if you actually read the Chronicle in earlier decades, it's much the same news, particularly in humanities, but the unemployment rate for PhDs is the lowest among any education sector. So it is not as gloom and doom as you might hear, but I will say there is a need to be flexible and to think about what are the opportunities, and we're going to talk about how to identify like your values, your skills and interests around those opportunities. Has anyone in here used ImaginePhD before? You can drop that in chat too. Let's see. Oops, messages. Yes, Stephanie, thank you. Don't think so, nay, just attend these workshops. Okay, that's fine. So what I want to say about ImaginePhD is, as mentioned, this is a online tool that is free to you. And I will get my, let's see, advancing slides here. Sorry, having a little bit of technical difficulty. There we go. I'll click it from there. Okay. So what ImaginePhD is, I should tell you a bit about it first before I encourage you to use it. It's free. It's confidential. What we mean by confidential is we don't market it. We don't sell your name or information to anybody. One of the things that was a core value of the team that created ImaginePhD was that it would be free to all graduate students and postdocs, that it would not accept advertising, would not be trying to make money on the people using it. So you may ask, well, how do we fund it? We actually went to the universities themselves and asked for initial donations of funding to build the tool. So it's not a subscription model. It's not a advertising model. It's not, ads on Facebook or anything crazy like that. We wanted the tool to be a starting point for career exploration. We wanted to include goal setting as part of the application, which there's a planning feature in the tool that you can use. So very simply, imaginephd.com is the URL, and it is really designed to be supportive of the humanities and social sciences. But interestingly, there's a lot of STEM people who are using it now because they just like the interface. We've done nothing to necessarily work to support that population, but there are some useful features of it for them too. So who created this? As I mentioned, I'm the project lead, but I have colleagues from all over the country and Canada who are also involved in creating this. Most of them are themselves PhDs who work in the career and professional development realm, either as a director of an institute like myself or as a staff member in a career center. But this is just the depth of talent that worked on this tool and is familiar with the humanities and social sciences career process. So speaking of career process, if you're thinking about what careers are of interest to you, what we know is for career exploration, the first step is self-assessment. And so what ImaginePhD offers is 3 self-assessments: skills, interests, and values. I'll talk more about those in a minute. And then exploring your options is the next step, narrowing your options, and then making a plan or applying for careers. But you can jump in anywhere on this wheel. It doesn't have to be that you have to follow this locked step. The idea is just to be thinking about what careers are of interest to you, really taking stock of what's important to you. And again, the assessments are part of that process. So we have 3 assessments built into ImaginePhD, and they cover skills, interests, and values. And just so we can define a little bit of what these are, skills are really what do you like doing on a daily basis? And these are really work-related skills, or what you're good at doing on a daily basis. So in academia, these are often things like writing, they may be public speaking, teaching, but depending on your particular interests, perhaps you're interested in data management, perhaps you're interested in media or some other aspect like that, translation. Those are all skills that you might use in your working life that are important to you. And so the assessment takes you through that process of identifying your top skills. Then your interests. So what do you like to do in your time? Some things you might be doing now are research topics, teaching, service and leadership. But again, the assessment takes you through really thinking about your interests and how important they are to you in your career search, and then it'll give you your top 5 interests. And then finally, values is important. What's important to you in your future work environment and why? And what I thought was interesting is we've had faculty take the values assessment and be surprised to think, oh, maybe my students have different values than me. I just assumed everybody really loved teaching, or it was important to them to do research and have national impact that way. So I think by doing the values assessment, it helps you zero in on what's going to be important to you. For example, good compensation. Most of us don't go to grad school because we expect we're going to be well compensated. Some people do. But even that is something that you have to dig down deeper, because what's good compensation for you may not be for another person. For one person, that may be something that would be impossibly high to us, like $200,000 a year. But for another, just making enough to really live comfortably being defined as maybe owning a home or renting, but having a working vehicle and all that. Anyway, as you see, there's like a whole spectrum of what that looks like for each individual. And my point being is helping you identify what's important to you in the value spectrum, because that's going to be important for what career you land in. And even if you have a value that's important to you, it may vary across institutions. So even if we stay in the academic career realm, there's a big difference between a UC system career, community college, liberal arts institutions. They all have a slightly different set of things that are prioritized and valued that it's important to think about as you're considering your career. So when you do the 3 assessments, and I encourage you to do that, they really only take about 15 to 20 minutes altogether. And so I highly encourage that you do that. It'll give you, again, your top 5 skills, interests, and values. And then from there, you can look at some of the job families that are in ImaginePhD and see which ones align for you. So what we did with these assessments is we also had experts in the field take them and really curate them and think about, for each job family, what's important? What are the top 5 skills for that job family? What are the top 5 interests? So what you'll see is when you take the assessments and you've selected some of the job families, which I'll talk about more in a minute, it'll show you where you have alignments and misalignments. And that can be extremely helpful, particularly around skills. It would be understandable if you're a new graduate student and you select a job family that's of interest to you that requires grant writing, and you find that skill is not well developed. That's not a deficit on your part, it's something that you can learn. But interests are entirely a different matter. So if you're not interested in translation, for example, and you're looking at the translation job family, that's probably a misalignment that's not going to be easily overcome. So again, the assessments help you come to some decisions around that and help you narrow your options. And we have concentrated on 16 job families in ImaginePhD. These are job families that PhDs in the humanities and social sciences routinely go into. So we really looked at these as groupings of careers that we knew the populations we were working with are interested in, and that their programs help prepare them for, although they might need also additional skills building that they may want to do. So when you look at this, these bubbles, I guess I call them, these pictures, you'll see there's actually only 15, although I just told you there are 16 job families. The faculty one is divided into research intensive and teaching intensive careers because they are different, right? So when you do your assessment, again, you'll see alignments and misalignments, and you can read about each job family. It has a description of it. And then we have many more resources beyond just doing the assessments. So again, drop your questions in if you have any in chat, or stop me. Looks like we have 4 new messages. Let's see. Is it available to grad students inclusive of, yes, everybody can use it. Anybody in the world can use it, it's free. I just opened an account, but that's it, I haven't explored it more. Okay, so that's great. Each of the job families, all 16, has more resources. So one of the challenges with ImaginePhD is just the sheer amount of resources for you, which is a good thing, but can be challenging to find your way through it. So for each job family, you'll find an explore section, a connect, build skills, and apply. And so for each of these, I'll go into a little bit more detail. For explore, you're going to find there are informational interviews that have been written up. There are profiles of people with PhDs in that career. There are job descriptions. There's something called the Intersect job simulations. These are actually small projects that you can do to kind of get your feet wet and get a sample of what the work is in that job family and what that would look like. So that's really helpful sometimes to help you make some decisions about whether that seems to be a fit for you. The connect section for each job family. There are professional networks, professional societies you can join, LinkedIn groups. So we've curated that for you. We've gone through and developed these resources and found them and put them in this section so that you can easily find them. For building skills, so if you realize there are skills that you need to build after you take the skills assessment, we have some resources around that too, including the job simulations. And to apply, we actually have application packages where we've taken a job description, showed you what a cover letter looks like, what the resume or CV might look like that goes with that, to kind of give you some ideas and templates. We also have tapped into Indeed.com and we pull real live jobs into the feed. So when you go on the site, you'll be able to see those jobs that actually match the job families you're interested in and even apply for them. So that's all in there. And as I said, there's a lot. So you might want to explore that at your leisure. But as I said, I think the place I would start is with the assessments to kind of get a sense of where you're at and what's of importance to you. The other feature of ImaginePhD is a tool called My Plan. And My Plan allows you to map out not only your career search, but also your PhD or master's program or professional school program journey. So you can be thinking about what goals you have and what you want to set. So there's even this handout that you can download where you think about some of your degree completion goals, your skills development goals, career development goals. These are suggestions. You may have your own, but the tool allows you to put your goals in, to outline them, to even send yourself a reminder through the tool of when something is due. So that might be something as granular as I need to submit a proposal for a conference. It's due on this date. I need to have written the abstract and maybe have my major professor review it. You can put that all in there. The timeline for My Plan is 7 years. So you can plan out almost a whole program, maybe your entire program in that time. Because we realize in the humanities and social sciences, the programs sometimes take longer. So that's a resource for you too. Encourage you to use that. Other things I want to mention about ImaginePhD, there is a section called Profile and Results. And this section is where everything is stored for you. So your top 5 interests, your top 5 skills, and your key work values. And I didn't mention about the work values, but when you do that part of the assessment, you'll find these are clickable and they have more information about the values and questions you might want to ask an employer to see if those values will be met. So I don't know if you've ever been in an interview or at the end of the interview, they say, do you have any questions for us? And if you're like me, I kind of struggle. Well, these might give you some questions that get at what's important to you in the job that you may want to ask. You can take the assessments as many times as you'd like. Again, they're free. The tool stores your last 3 assessments. And then after that, the oldest one drops off. So you can always go back to those. It also saves your job families and your plan for the My Plan feature. So there's, again, as I said, there's a lot in there, a lot of resources that may be very useful to you. So let me stop there with ImaginePhD and see what questions you have for me. And again, don't be afraid to unmute or drop it into chat.
Hey, Teresa, there was a question about the role of internship opportunities through ImaginePhD, and I had answered that, the tool, as I understand it, is more focused on career exploration and potential jobs, but that the techniques would be useful for applying for internships as well. Would you say more about that?
Sure. So thanks, Stephanie. Yes, so most of the Indeed mostly pulls in jobs, right, rather than internships. But what I would say about internships is I would connect with the Internship and Career Center because there is a specialized unit within it that only serves masters, PhDs, and postdocs. So they work with graduate students to find internship possibilities. And I used to work in the Career Center, so I can tell you that I know how this process works. And what there isn't is generally a list of internships for graduate students. And that's intentional because graduate students usually have very specific interests and needs. And so by just going out to employers and saying, what do you got for grad students? You could create a list where the employer's not satisfied because there's not a student who wants to do that internship. And the grad student's not satisfied because none of those were really what they were looking for. They had something specific in mind. So if you go to the Career Center, Bethany Hopkins is the career advisor that I recommend you speak with. She herself has a PhD in the humanities, I think English, and she can help you find internships and identify employers that might be of interest to you. Oh, thank you for dropping the link into chat, Stephanie. That's outstanding. Yeah, so you can make as many appointments as you want at the Internship and Career Center. It is free to you. I think there was a couple professional students or one professional student on this meeting that you may not have access to the Career Center, but if you're in the Graduate School of Management, there's a Career Center within that. Vet Med has its opportunities, the medical school has its opportunities. So the professional schools tend to have their own career centers. But if you get stuck, just email me. I'm happy to connect you to the right person. Okay, so now what I want to talk about is a local resource before I'm going to talk next about Grad Pathways and then Versatile PhD and then take your questions. So Grad Pathways is our flagship professional development program really, and it's based on 8 core competencies that you can see here. And it's meant to do more than just help you with your career. It's meant to help you be successful in graduate school and then beyond. So we partner with content experts across campus, including the Career Center. So a lot of the career management resources are through them, and I'm going to talk about them in just a minute. First, just to give you an idea, each of the 8 core competencies has this framework, which is there are introductory workshops, in-depth courses and symposia, individualized advising, and community building and activities. So I won't go through all 8 of them. Instead, because of our topic, we're going to concentrate on career management because that's what folks are here for. But if you go to our website, you would see that each of these has this format. So for career management, which is one of our 8 core competencies, if we look at introductory, a lot of the introductory activities we have are through the Career Center, although we also interface with some other programs. So there are things like doing the strengths assessment, there are career panel discussions. There are the ImaginePhD workshops I actually do, not the Career Center, but they do career panels for academic careers, like they do the faculty job search career panel, which is usually in the summer. So if you haven't found it, it should be coming up. I believe everything will be virtual up until fall, so it'll be easy to access that way. And then they do the one-on-one advising. Again, you can go onto the site and make an appointment whenever you like to do advising with them. And I strongly encourage it. Even if you're new to a graduate program, this is the time to get your a template for your CV or your resume, to be thinking about what you want to add to that. Because I don't know about you, but when I got to the end of my graduate program, trying to remember everything you've done, every course you've TA'd, it can be a heavy lift. So if you have that document, however you want to save it in Google Docs or wherever, but you keep it as a running document, you will make your life so much easier. Because at the end, when you're trying to apply, it can be challenging to keep track of all the materials. Okay, there is also in-depth resources for career management. The Internship and Career Center offers a fabulous course that is called Designing Your Professional Life, and it's really a career exploration course. It is a pass-no-pass grading for 2 units. They offer it generally in the fall and spring, so they are offering it for spring quarter, and I believe they'll offer it next fall too. So if you're interested, highly recommend it. And it's a great opportunity to gain some clarity and also map out a plan. In depth, so we have a lot of what we call cohort-based programs. And these are programs where you're in a smaller group, you're doing your career exploration and preparation. So for example, Professors for the Future is a program through the GradPathways Institute. And we take about 14 PhD students and postdocs a year. We just closed our application last Friday. So if you're new, just know that when you advance a candidacy, you're eligible to participate in this program and you can apply. Leaders for the Future is sort of a sister program to Professors for the Future. It's a program that focuses on cutting edge business skills development, entrepreneurial thinking, and doing an immersive. And the immersive is like an internship or a job shadow or a series of informational interviews, but something to get your feet wet outside of academia and get you off campus, although at the moment it'll be virtually off campus rather than actually physically. So that one, we are going to open up our application process for that for next, that's for the cohort that's for next year in the spring of this year. So stay tuned, that's coming soon. You may or may not be aware of, if you're interested in community college, the Los Rios district actually has a diversity faculty internship program, and it's fabulous. There's a training component. There's the opportunity to develop a lecture with one of the faculty members at one of the Los Rios campuses, or even to deliver one. But it really prepares you to be a community college faculty member. And although its focus is on diversity, they are open to everybody. So please do apply if interested. It's really a tremendous thing to be able to do. And then Mellon Public Scholars, Stephanie could tell you more about that. I know that the application is now closed and that the scholars have been selected for this coming year, but it's a terrific program too, where you are with a cohort and you get to do, yay Stephanie, you get to do some great work in public scholarship. So these are all, again, the in-depth kinds of things you can do in your career management competency. And then some community building and activities. And this part of the programming we do is usually designed to help you, again, journey with other folks or to have access to other resources. So we have also a career exploration group that is through the counseling center. not through the Career Center. And this is an interesting group because it's a small group for graduate students that really drills down on what your expectations for your career are, how much of that might be driven by family or cultural expectations. I think it helps you unpack what you think is important in your career. And you do career assessments through that too, not ImaginePhD, but some others like the MBTI and the STRONG. The MBTI is a Myers-Briggs type indicator, and really do a deep dive into your career choices. So that runs every quarter. I don't know if you can get in mid-quarter, we're kind of late in the quarter now, but if you're interested, you might want to connect with the Counseling Center to jump in for spring quarter. The ICC does what are called TRECs. These are actual opportunities to meet with employers at different agencies, and they've had some really interesting ones. The California State Library, the DMV, which everybody is, their immediate reaction is who would want to work at the DMV, but the DMV does a lot of research. So there's a whole arm of the DMV that does extensive research and is looking for PhDs. So when they did a trek to the DMV headquarters, DMV was thrilled. They rolled out the red carpet and really made the PhD students there feel welcome. There's a community college fair. And again, in the past, this has all been in person. I think this year they've done these things virtually or maybe not so much, but we're all hoping by next fall, we'll be back in person and we'll be able to do these things in person. They are running ICC job search support groups. So whatever type of career you're looking for, they're doing small groups of graduate students who are fellow journeyers through this process. And then online resources, we've already talked about ImaginePhD, and I'm going to touch on the Versatile PhD, but with Grad Pathways, which we're talking about now, we also have a YouTube channel. We've been recording videos that help grad students and postdocs in any number of ways, everything from writing videos to ones related to career. And we also have some in our box folder. If you go to the Grad Pathways website and click on these, they'll just automatically take you to wherever that resource is. Okay, any questions about Grad Pathways? I left out the important part. Of course, it is free to you, but I want to say it's free, but it's not. When you pay your candidacy fee, and we have grad students all the time ask, where is my candidacy fee money going? This is the program that it goes into. It actually supports Grad Pathways. So we take your fees and roll them back into your professional development. So those of you who are earlier stage grad students, get your money's worth. It's only $90, but you're going to use it. If you use it throughout, you're going to get more than your money's worth, and we hope you do. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I will, in the interest of time, move on. The final resource I want to talk to you about is the Versatile PhD, and this is another online tool that Grad Pathways, that is, pays for a premium subscription for the humanities and social sciences. There's also a STEM side of the tool, but there's a lot more resources for STEM, so we want to pour our funding into the humanities and social science side to really better meet your needs. And so this online tool is really geared more around careers beyond academia rather than those that are within it. So there are several resources in it that I want to mention. But first, to get the full value out of it, you need to go through the portal, which is on the ICC site, but you can click through it from our Grad Pathways page too. And then you can sign up for premium content, which again is free to you because we're paying for the subscription. And the premium content has a lot more in it. So what you'll find in the Versatile PhD is there's resources, there's forums, jobs, My Plan, which is also like our My Plan for ImaginePhD, and then My Versatile PhD. So this is a little bit about the job side of it, where they have resumes and cover letters from people who've gotten jobs in those fields. And these are the actual job description and the actual resume and the actual cover letter. So in ImaginePhD, we've done we've created those with experts doing that. These are actual people's materials, so that can be interesting to look at too. On the non-academic careers for humanities and social sciences, again, that's the side that we pay for content. So all of these are open to you. You can read about the careers and the job packets in each of these fields. It may be of interest. And then there is an online career path options for success course that I've heard great things about. So if you're interested, you can sign up for that. There's not an additional cost to do that because we have the premium subscription. And that course covers things like assessing your strengths, identifying your interests, and skills. So that should start to sound familiar. In the career world, it's all about skills, interests, and values, SIVs we call them, which is important for any career decision making. And so again, this course is a great opportunity for you to do as you're preparing. And again, the focus being on careers beyond academia. There are also actual jobs that are pulled into this site. They're a little less curated, I would say, specifically, obviously, to humanities, because they pull in ones for STEM. So my experience has been there's getting to be more STEM jobs than humanities ones, which is okay. But ImaginePhD has quite, ours are specifically tied to the job family. So the widget pulls in the jobs that relate to that job family. But this is great to look at too. And there are articles and information. So like doing a PhD internship, what does that look like? In the Career Finder section. So encourage you to, again, access those resources. And they also do some online workshops. We advertise those through our website on GradPathways, so you can find them there too. And they have meetups. So if you're interested in getting together with other PhDs, and of course now that would be virtually rather than in person, there are ones in the geographic regions. We used to have a Davis one, but I think it's kind of fallen off as that team of folks graduated. But you can form a group if you're interested, and let me know if you are. I'm happy always to hear about that too and promote it. Okay, so whoops, going backwards here. That's not what I meant to do. Okay, anyway, I can just stop screen sharing and talk to you. Those are some of the online tools that are available, and the in-person tools, in-person being doing advising. But what is of interest to you? So what questions do you have? My last slide was really Walker Hall, which is in a picture behind me. I don't know if you can see it, but Walker Hall is the home of the new Grad Student Center. So it's gonna open in fall with COVID protocols. I'm actually in here today giving the workshop. You all are my first workshop I've given from this new space, so I'm excited about that. But it's going to have a lot of opportunities. There's going to be a quiet writing room for you. There is writing and career consultations that'll go on in this space. We will have workshops here. There is a graduate commons, which you can just come and hang out. The GSA has an office in here. The Postdoctoral Scholars Association has an office in here, and graduate studies will be on the second floor. Most of the other folks, I'm on the first floor. So they will be there to assist you too. So it's beautiful. There's even a parent-child study lounge. It's fabulous. I can't wait to welcome you here. And I hope you'll be able to see it. Really, I hope in the fall, everything will look different with changes in this COVID situation. So that is like a whirlwind tour of a lot of resources, but what's missing for you? Tell me what you might need, and you can drop that in chat if you're more comfortable, or you can unmute, and let's see if we can find what you need.
I just wanted to say that I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording. So I wanted to officially, for the record, thank you, Dr. Dillinger, for all of this wonderful information. And so I'm going to just kind of bring that to a close right now.